In the intricate ballet of court trials, two sides often present divergent stories constructed from the same threads of truth. In the case of Christian Aguilar's untimely demise, the prosecution wove those threads out of a tale of envy, love, and betrayal. First 8 paints a picture steeped in premeditation and darkness. According to their story, in a Walmart parking lot, Pedro Bravo, consumed by jealousy over Erica Freeman's relationship, made the chilling decision to end Christian Aguilar's life. Was it strangulation, poisoning? The prosecution is confident in both their theories, presenting it as a crime birthed from the bitter seeds of envy. The defense, however, tells a different tale. They admit a confrontation, an eruption of emotions, but it happened some distance away, near Streit's Motorsports on 13th Street. It was neither strangulation nor poisoning, but rather a physical confrontation, a fight between the two young men. And according to them, when Pedro left the scene, Christian was still alive, dazed but living. The state and the defense offered opposing theories. The state's theory rooted in jealousy and a tumultuous love triangle, but the defense instead diverging at the very heart of the matter, the events leading to Christian Aguilar's tragic end. The prosecution's narrative is one steeped in calculated intent and deep-rooted jealousy. Their tapestry of events creates a tale where every angle is carefully chosen to present a portrait of a premeditated murder. To understand their perspective, one must first dive into the complex relationships at play. Pedro Bravo and Erica Freeman once shared a bond, a teenage romance. But as time moved forward, Erica found solace in the arms of another, Christian Aguilar. According to the prosecution, the Walmart parking lot was not just a place of everyday commerce, but became the stage for a dark drama to unfold. It is here, they posit, that Bravo's jealousy reached its boiling point. Was it strangulation, or perhaps a sinister potion? The exact method remains a question, but the prosecution is convinced of one thing: Bravo's actions were deliberate and cold. His intent to extinguish the life of the young man who now occupied a space close to Erica. To substantiate their theory, the prosecution showcased a series of chilling evidence. Receipts that placed Bravo at Walmart and Lowe's, suggesting preparation. Personal writings that hinted at a mind in turmoil, and other objects they believed were instrumental in Christian's demise. Throughout the trial, the prosecution continually underscored one driving force behind Bravo's alleged actions: the corrosive emotion of jealousy. To them, Bravo wasn't just a former lover, he was a man unable to accept the relationship between Erica and Christian. The prosecution's story, as presented, was carefully stitched to portray Pedro Bravo as a man consumed by envy, willing to commit the ultimate act of vengeance. Our analysis begins with the two theories laid out by the prosecution to explain Christian's murder and Pedro's role in it. Their first theory, that Christian was poisoned or incapacitated by a deadly concoction mixed inside a Gatorade bottle. Their second, that he was strangled with a moving strap. They argue that the bottle wasn't just a thirst-quenching drink. Inside that bottle, according to their narrative, was a concoction, a deadly blend designed to either kill or incapacitate. They present a tale where Bravo, with meticulous planning, sought to utilize this chemical mixture as a tool in his grim scheme. The mixture itself? Regular over-the-counter pain medication and sleeping aids. But the Gatorade, the prosecution believes, if that wasn't what killed him, was just part of the chilling tableau. As Christian, possibly weakened or disoriented from the chemical, sat vulnerable in the parking lot, Bravo's jealousy allegedly manifested into a physical act of violence. With the moving strap traditionally a tool to secure loads, Bravo allegedly turned it into an instrument of death. The prosecution contends that in those few heart-wrenching moments, Christian Aguilar was strangled, his life snuffed out in the confines of that vehicle, surrounded by the unassuming backdrop of parked cars, passerby, and shopping carts. Through every piece of evidence, every argument, the prosecution crafts a story of meticulous planning and cold execution. They assert that each item, the Gatorade bottle, the moving strap, were not random but purposefully chosen by Bravo in a calculated act, driven by jealousy and desperation. Two tools, one motive. The state's theory paints a chilling portrait of a love triangle's deadly conclusion. Yet despite the portrayal of ironclad theories, in reality both these arguments were riddled with their own inconsistencies and holes, much like the trial itself. No substantive evidence arose showing that Christian had eye contact or even drank the bottle. Neither was there evidence of Pedro even owning a moving strap, let alone there be evidence he strangled Christian. But as with all stories, there are two sides. The defense, steadfast in its mission, presents a narrative that veers away from the chilling tones painted by the prosecution. In this rendition, Pedro Bravo is not the cold, calculated murderer that the prosecution portrays. Instead, he's a young man ensnared in a web of emotions, depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, and overthinking, who makes impulsive decisions. According to the defense, near the Straits Motorsports on 13th Street is where the tale unfolds, not in the broad daylight of a Walmart parking lot, but in an empty lot by the road in the rain. There's confrontation, yes. There's anger and intense emotions, but as the defense argues, it's a fight. An altercation between two young men with heightened emotions, but nothing more. The defense emphasizes the aftermath. According to their story, after the fight, Bravo, overwhelmed by the moment, chose to leave the scene. But crucially, when he left, Christian Aguilar's heart still pounded, his breath still flowed. The defense staunchly believes and argues that Christian was left behind very much alive. They bolster their arguments by diving into Pedro's psyche. His interactions with law enforcement paint a picture of a confused young man grappling with the gravity of his actions, but not those of a murderer. His mental health, they argue, is a factor that can't be ignored, suggesting that his state of mind during the alleged events was unstable, as he grappled not only with the fight itself, but the breadth of anxiety and depression that choked him. Challenging the prosecution's narrative, the defense dissects each piece of evidence. They propose alternate interpretations, emphasizing the circumstantial nature of the evidence presented. Throughout the trial, the defense paints an alternate portrait, one of impulse rather than calculation, of a troubled mind rather than a vengeful heart, and of a scene of conflict without the grim finality that the prosecution insists upon. In the vast theatre of the courtroom, where truths are dissected and stories are told, the defence's narrative serves as a counterpoint to the prosecution's. As the scales of justice waver, the question remains, which story will prevail? Evidence is the compass that guides the jury's judgment. Direct evidence speaks loud and clear, but circumstantial evidence, it whispers, hinting at possibilities, suggesting stories demanding interpretation. Narrator, but what is circumstantial evidence? At its core, it's evidence that doesn't directly prove a fact, but instead points towards its likelihood based on other interconnected events or circumstances. It is an inference stacked on inferences. Imagine watching someone walk indoors with unclothed dripping water. You didn't see the rain, but the wet clothes suggests it. This, in essence, is circumstantial evidence. In the case of Pedro Bravo and Christian Aguilar, circumstantial evidence plays a pivotal role. The Gatorade bottle, the moving strap, Pedro's writings, even their location near Straits Motorsports, all these are pieces of a vast puzzle that the jury must decipher. The strength of circumstantial evidence lies in its ability to build a narrative. However, its weakness, multiple narratives can emerge from the same set of circumstances. While the prosecution sees a Gatorade bottle as a vessel of poison, the defense might see it as a suicidal concoction. For the jury, the task is monumental. They must distinguish between compelling circumstantial evidence and mere coincidence. They must decide which narrative the evidence supports more convincingly. In this trial, the controversial use of such evidence stands out. How much weight should be given to circumstantial evidence? Does it infer guilt or merely suggest it? At the crossroads of law and interpretation, circumstantial evidence tests the very foundation of our justice system. It beckons us to ask, when is a hint strong enough to be considered a shout? And when does inference become conviction? We've grazed the surface of prosecution's chilling theory of premeditation and jealousy, ventured briefly into the defence's portrayal of a tragic altercation, and grappled with the complexities of evidence that suggests rather than declares. Our justice system is built on the pillars of objectivity, interpretation, and the pursuit of truth. Yet, as we've seen, truth can sometimes be a mosaic of interpretations, coloured by perspectives and tinted by biases. As we conclude this deep dive into the contrasting theories and the role of circumstantial evidence in the trial, one thing remains clear. Every piece of evidence, every narrative, and every theory seeks to answer the haunting question. What truly happened? Stay with us as we venture further into the heart of this case, decipher the potential innocence of the accused, and set the record straight from years of videos parroting the same agenda. In our next video, we'll delve deeper into the prosecution's first theory of poisoning and what it fails to prove. The intricate dance of evidence, motive and means continues. As we leave you to reflect on what's been presented, we encourage you to share your thoughts, questions and perspectives, because in the theatre of justice every voice matters.